welcome to our future humans and those who are curious on why is being yourself key to longevity, success, happiness, fulfillment. And I started with fulfillment though because it's your 0 1 year old. Okay, so you're a securely attached, non traumatized person, and this is very important. If you are not attachment trauma informed, I am. And also, I'm a human who, as I was getting all this knowledge, like, yeah, that makes sense. I got child parts, check. Yes, my 0 1 year old, she's cool. So when you're fulfilled, this means that if I say, great job, bad job, you're not like, oh my God, I'm devastated. Now, if you are a work in progress, we always are, but with sadness and being able to accept that society won't like you, that your work environment might not like you, but not based on you not performing, meaning doing a good job. Based on you and them having differences, okay? So you have your unique character traits, I do too. And so being able to feel okay with differences means self-acceptance. And that's why the securely attached, non-traumatized person is being their self. If instead we have a person who does not want to go back to the beginning, which in our short I talked about that, there's plenty of people who say they want to be their self, they want to be fulfilled and happy, they want, but then they don't tend to their very 0 1 year old. And they don't think it's important because they don't believe in the science of attachment, which describes and explains exactly why your brain develops, your relationships are based on that, and also how you are feeling about life. So you want to get first your body in connection. Once you're securely attached, non-traumatized person, now you're ready to be fulfilled because you don't have this longing that actually drives a bunch of insecure people to have unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, unhealthy relationships. They can reparent with someone like Patrick Tan, a good therapist. Okay, so now that you are yourself, okay, you're fulfilled from this place because your heart can stay open even when it's in disagreement. So you master anger and sadness and fear, those three main subcortical areas of those of us who know of Dr. Daniel Siegel's PDP framework. That's what I have I have a test on it. Great. It's great to be able and have that because it's way more accurate than, for example, when I went through the Enneagram and when I'm looking at the Enneagram's descriptions and whatnot. Because the PDP framework is based on my embodied brain, which is how Maria works and how you work. As Stephen Porges points out, the stories come after. The physiological states are the first part. So your body's connected. Now you're yourself. Now we're fulfilled because we even can reassure our 1 year old it's okay if we're ever alone. You know, we will be able to be okay because we have air, water, food. And so you have a talk with the sadness, and it's not from the temporal junction. So it's not suffering because your body's connected. So you're using the healthy side of resiliency. Okay, happiness, we feel happy all the time because we are in ventral energy. And really, it's the external world that doesn't have this ventral energy that thinks of the wellness industry as positive, happy vibes only, and you're faking it and pretending it. Well, no, we're not pretending any of it. We have depth of feeling because we don't suffer. Emotions last 90 seconds when you're using your prefrontal cortex. Your habitual brain, the default mode network, it's downregulated. Okay, so self-agency is what you have. Self-empowerment is what you have. Enlightenment, mystic, spiritual, mindful, or science, spiritual, doesn't matter, you have. Because you're able to use the emotional, mental intelligence, two sides of the brain. And that's why you'll grow increasingly curious, and you also grow clarity. And then you also grow more aware of when you're getting irritated, and you say, okay, let's look at the heart. What's up? Because I ain't here to correct another person. For those of us of spirit, we know God takes care of it, but also we have laws. And as long as they're not physically doing anything, I am not a sensitive person in the 16-year-old, 14-year-old version of me. I learned how to not take it personally. And it's not personal. When you also remember that the immature emotion speaking person, they're living with their subconscious. The 0 8-year-old is ruling them. It's really funny, by the way. Like, I have so many stories, about them, the regular ones. But that's why they will be like, you're indifferent. That means you don't care. Well, I mean, I do care, but not to correct because it's none of my business. I never walked one day in their shoe. Obviously, they have not securely attached. Obviously, they're still a codependent 0 8-year-old who's enmeshing, or they just don't know how to be themselves. They have, Cusco follows a bunch of bad habits that Yzma gave him, and they want to talk about evil and good and who's better and who's not. So, you meet pettiness when you meet pettiness. It's pretty much what I met when I was a teenager, which is why now that I'm a grown up, like, I'm happy to have attachment trauma education to use with our collective, because those people who still spread rumors about there being energy vampires, dark auras, entities attached to you, it's like, okay, they obviously don't know about attachment and secure attachment. They also don't know about body connected. So they don't know how to use their ventral energy. Oh shit, okay, they definitely don't know. What's our next one? Success. Well, I mean, they're going to have success in their own way, but they don't know success in the way of longevity. Because longevity means that you have your heart and your mind and your brain and your body and yourself securely attached, non-traumatized, body and ventral vagal state. Debdena talks all about how she trains her therapist to know to stay anchored in ventral energy. I stay anchored in ventral energy because why wouldn't I? And once you have eustress going on and you are in that high frequency and you're consistently able to be aware that when you're getting into an emotional charge, it's time for a reality check. Okay, what does Maria like? What does she not like? What is the feeling about? What is it not about? And what am I going to do right now? Oh, well, wait a minute. I have a subjective experiencing person in front of me. So it all depends. You can better bet that the ones who actually give you the most for your spiritual personal growth are your family. So like my mom, my twin, and my younger sister, even though she's the mediator, then our extended family, of course, and so on and so forth. But it is within the immediacy. So in my case, I understand exactly why they're my most biggest contributors to my physical mastery, because I was an actual 3-year-old with my mom and my twin and a 1-year-old. Okay, so that's why trauma time, you will metabolize it as you work with it. Then there's other things that happen from your 0 to 16 years of age, which they come up. And when things come up from your past, as long as you are focusing that attention, and thanks to being in the maximum uncertainty easily, so awareness, and then you're bringing in kind intention, the 3 pillars of mindfulness, plus with the mindsight skills that I learned from Dr. Daniel Siegel, you sift sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, and now we have the potential to grow from an experience. So family, immediate family, and then sharing a home and stuff like that. Those are all impactful, but you're fulfilled and happy and successful and living longer because you're being yourself. And so I present authentically who I am, and then I can talk about my feelings and I can cry without being ashamed of it. The anger part, again, you're actually mastering it, because otherwise you won't be in the ventral energy. And also, correcting people is none of our business when it's a subjective experience within our relationships. So relationships are creating them, which is why if you want to tell people that they have to be like you, those are called martyr superiors, blamers, and they're all codependent and need Patrick Tanner Terrio, because they still don't understand how to be a functional adult. Here at IHP, we're functional child adults, because we got angels walking amongst us. And I will be sharing with you in our next episode a bunch more, because my lovely guides, angels, future me, galactic beings, you name it, like they're all here, like still saying, okay, it's time to bring us in your stories and your examples, and we want to speak, Maria. And some people, I love it, they're like, Maria, you woo-woo, did you smoke something? No, but guess what, I love science. So like this physicist Thomas Campbell points out, our brain's going to always make sense of stuff, which is why I appreciate scientists who know that mysticism and science are not competing, but that they can explain to us something so I can speak to all people, because IHP is for spiritual and personal growth. And so those of you who don't believe in mysticism, that's fine with me. I'm just going to ask you to respect us and to know that none of us are going to have to prove anything. Oh yeah, we don't have to prove, because, you know, if you have blind faith, I know who God is. He's discerning, equanimous love. And that's where, if you want to read more about my story, a little bit of it, I'm a co-author of the book, The Ways to God. The chapter is titled, God is Discerning, Equanimous Love, because that's his frequency. When it comes to Akash, I can tell you all about the infinite stars and beyond, the 5 elements, source, same thing goes. Empowered feminine also knows about that which is Gaia and the creator, empowered feminine frequency, and they all have a very different blend of harmony and a blend of frequencies and also images. But like I'm saying, Thomas Campbell makes sense when he says every one of us will make sense of something. And being grounded in reality means this, like Sam Harris points out, that any of your cherishable beliefs, you can consider that falsifiable, which is why a grown-up, which is what being yourself is about, knows how to use a prefrontal cortex. And then we remember that there's only information. Words are not power. Words are information. That's all that is. Now, if you don't know how to let go of it having to be boxed, and that's where the left brainers are. They don't like that we bring it all in, and then we understand the consilience approach, and then we also understand the bigger picture. And they don't like it because they want maximum certainty. So you're not going to talk sense to a person who doesn't notice how to use both sides of the brain, because they haven't noticed that they didn't go back to the beginning yet. And that their 0-1-year-old is still an attached panicky, and their 3-7 is still ashamed submissive. That they probably don't have anything to do with their freeze response, let alone their flight 11-12. And their fight, 14, 15, 16, is the only one that's leading the room, but that's a Cusco, and it's now a maladaptive pattern of behavior, inner, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, some random bunch of stories and a bunch of Peter Pans and Lost Boys around. So that's why when I see any of the fight response people, that's Cusco. They don't go back to the beginning. They talk to you about all these topics. They don't know that the key to fulfillment, to happiness, to longevity, to your success is you being yourself, because they're not yet their self. As they didn't allow themselves to go and get themselves seen, soothed, safe, secure, all the way back to their 0-1-year-old and the womb, and to take ownership of every single bit of trigger and stuff that comes up, so that they can become very much equanimous beings, discerning like God is. And then also here, God is not going to ever sound like a monster, and there's no Lucifer. The ones who talk about monsters in your head, they have the monsters, not the other way around. I have never had monsters in my head. Just saying, if one human being has no monsters in her head because she's a self-agent who's a 3-year-old who said, you can't think me in my body, I'm trying to explain to you why I don't know what it's like to have any nasty thoughts, because there's no nastiness here. Why would you do negative talk? That sounds ridiculous. Why are you talking about yourself like that? No, I don't have bad dreams that I create. I don't have bad dreams. I astral travel and end up in different planes, and they're not like... I've been to the lower realms, yes. It's not scary for a 5D body type is what I call the restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. So be yourself. Again, the reason it is key to fulfillment is because your 0-1-year-old is yours, and so you don't need to go and do and make anybody happy, but you're like, oh, I'm doing great, and I'll have differences with other people. I'll stay open-hearted, and I can easily accept that I might not match 100% with someone. I'll be happy that they spent some time with me. I spent some time with them. This is why we do Dharma, by the way. Success, you're succeeding because you're fulfilled in life and happy, and you're surrounding yourself with the healthy self-worth, empowering, enlightening relationships, job, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, and longevity because your body is in its ventral vagal state and it's an integrated brain. That's the longevity. It is amazing, and science is proving it, not me. So sciences has the data. I have the words and then the body and the way to tell you, look, I got it lucky. I'm an empowered feminine. I didn't get broken, and I don't need fixing. And those who do feel broken, they can get fixed thanks to the people that are saying you're not broken. We'll help you to rewire that which was done to you, which was not meant to ever be done to you. And please remember to be somewhat forgiving. I say this lightly. That every single one of our ancestors didn't choose to have trauma. So just saying, okay? We don't need to be blaming, shaming, faulting, or revenging. We can allow ourselves to know that mistakes happen. We're all human. In fact, that's the whole point. It is not perfection. And that's why we don't point a finger, but instead we say, wow, now that I know that I wasted half my life, the ones who go to Patrick Tian, I think I might take some time. So with Patrick Tian, he heals and helps anybody who takes care of their inner child to reparent and then to work through it. And as he points out, no one has to forgive. Here, we are all the forgiving group already because that's where we're at. Okay, so it's not a competition, but some of us have equanimity, forgiveness, and it is easy for us to do it because we're the grown-up version of ourselves. So we're not going to get irritated and say all humanity has to be doing things the way we want them to do things. We're going to know that that's not how it works, and that grown-ups know how to be harmonizing mediators consistently thanks to, like God, discerning, equanimous, loving, ventral vagal state, tones as your voice, prosody, social engagement system, facial expression, social engagement system. When you ask Stephen Porges, who's still working behind the scenes so he can share the quantitative data on his polyvagal theory, every single bit of you will become that which the somatic therapists call an angry Buddhist. We're not all Buddhists at all. In fact, there's a bunch of people who might want to reconsider what they're talking about. because they don't follow through with what they're being taught. But again, to get out of a suffering heart means that you need to acknowledge your 0-1-year-old, which means you're going to want to first get that secure attached. Once you're an owner of the sense of self, so your core narrative, relational, soul stuff are yours. Now you're taking accountability as an emotionally, mentally intelligent person who's also mature and who wants it. Mystic, spiritual, or mindful, don't matter. You're like, yep, I can feel the strength, the empowering, the beauty of this ventral energy. I also can feel and sense and notice my clarity as I allow myself to not make it personal when I want to correct something, but instead I say, okay, I function better this way, and you're really just looking at attributes and situations and presenting with also the awareness that we will always want to be able to bond, but sometimes that won't happen because we will be completely incompatible. Which means that once you are established in your self-agency, I can tell you all about how if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay. I have one story and then I'll let you go. My friend, she's a good girlfriend of mine, and we've been friends for a while now. How old was I? Mid-20s? Yeah, mid-20s, late 20s. Long story short, at a certain point of our friendship, she tells me that she wants me to not be friends with this other woman, and that's because both of the women were basically the lovers of a person who, instead of just becoming a polyamory open relationship guy, he decided to do people are drama kings and queens and Tom and Jerry. So when people are on shared fantasy, the subconscious that leads people to want to get in trouble, it's really not fascinating to see emotionally immature pathologies walking around thinking that they're all badass, while I think it's disgusting to know that you're getting off on something that is just so to Maria, I know when I'm seeing immature people, I'm going to have to get up and get away. And if I really stop to think about it, I think they're re-traumatizing themselves. They're living out their emotional immaturity. Now I know that they got a 3-year-old that they're not protecting or defending. Their 8-year-old is completely oblivious. 16-year-old thinks they know. I need to leave. They get disgusted by ventral energy. I get disgusted by thinking that I have to actually take someone seriously as they're bringing to me the fucking business or whatever business, and so Maria needs to step on out, because that's where, humanly speaking, I'm like, just wow. Long story short, as my friend presents to me this equation, and I'm thinking they're both lovers, we don't even know the girlfriend, and also this guy is humorous, he thought I was into him the first time. So here, actually, pause, listen to this. Oh, this is hilarious. So I'm actually hanging out with a bunch of different people. We go dancing all together. It's a great crew. And so this one of my friends, and then the other woman, I'll never forget the first time we met, because this woman, I'm saying hi to the guy who they are both lovers of. And I'm saying hi because we have become friends. And before he comes to say hello to me, what she lets me know later, not my friend, the other friend, is that in her ear, he tells her, don't say hello to me because you'll make Maria jealous. And I laugh in her face when she tells me this, because this is the other thing. This guy, I thought we were building a friendship. At a certain time, he gets silent. When she told me this thing, I was like, okay, now I understand what's going on. He realized I had no interest in him like that. Okay, wow, And so anyways, this friend, the other friend, she is a brunette. My girlfriend is a blondie. We'll do it that way so you can follow along for a minute. So the brunette steps on my foot when I'm saying hi to him. And I swear, I'm a small woman. You can't tell, but I'm 4'9". I'm happy her heel didn't go in one of my my feet, but yeah, she almost threw me to the ground. I then later on found out why. So it was because of what he whispered in her ear. So he was actively trying to create a scene, which is even more disgusting. In the meantime, they are not the only 2 women who were the lovers of this dude. There's other women too. So I would go dancing, but there were all these women doing this weird shit. And it wasn't only him, it was him and his other friend. Oh, his other friend went extreme. I won't even go there. So long story short, though, my girlfriend, we're hanging out, and she's like, I don't want you to be friends with the brunette because we're friends, and she's dating him. And I was like, so listen, I love you and I understand what you're saying, but I don't tell our conversations to her. You are both his lovers, not his girlfriends. So, no, but I understand if you don't want to be my friend anymore because obviously this is important to you. But no, I won't be stopping to be friends with her because there's no reason for that to take place. And we stayed friends. That's how you handle a conversation with a human being. If you want, you don't have to. I didn't think that my friend didn't need to tell me what she told me. She decided. I found it ridiculous because to me, it is all ridiculous. But I'm, again, an empowered person who has no beef telling someone what I think. And if they get offended, then I say sorry. And I learned how grown-ups can easily get offended, which is really boring, by the way. So, yeah, the ones who act like they're badass, I know when they're not because their heart isn't open and they're not having a good time with everyone. So that's like a very clear, they'll basically be the ones who say, I stay home because if I walk into a room, I pick up on all the energy. I'm, going to only hang out. So while I will be picky, meaning selective of who I hang out with because healthy self-worth people are who I'm going to hang around with, it's not because I'm better than them. It's just because I deserve to be saluted. I don't want to be around petty human beings who continue to think they know what fulfillment is, success, and longevity, and what else? The happiness. No, they don't even have any. So, I mean, every time they see you, why are you so happy? Oh, yeah. So, as Aristotle points out, everything we do in life is for some purpose. And at the end of it, he says that it's happiness that people are looking for. And then we have a lot of other schools that emerged to sell the school of happiness. This is a paraphrasing of this lovely video I was watching, and I'm thinking, yeah, you don't have a school of happiness. It's in here. If you become happy, it's because you learn how to be yourself. You learn how to be fulfilled with who you are. You learn that success comes because you're giving your best, and you give your best because you're happy to be there. You also know that if the environment is not supportive or healthy, you can speak up for yourself, and that's also why you speak with equanimity. And you also speak with that which is a discerning and loving tone. And if somebody begins to get emotionally agitated, that's your opportunity, if you're a functional inner child adult, to practice what you preach. And then to be able and continue mastering emotional, mental, and physical intelligence and resiliency in the good way. And really, it's again an honor to be able to be eloquent while also having fun, because the inner child is still participating. Because she doesn't, or he or they get brokenhearted. It's just called, well, my 14-month-old and yours won't play together because obviously, you're going to have somebody who doesn't know how to handle their 14-month-old, by the way. That's really the only reason, because likes and dislikes don't actually have any bearing on your physical life. They're just differences. What has bearing on your physical life is water, first air, then water, then food. So, it's very basic and very common sense. And so we like to enjoy more of that, which is our lovely human species, because nobody's broken, and even if they were, they are fixable because there's therapists who will help them to become their true self. And if they don't want to, we'll be able to be pacha with Cusco, hey, have a good time, and they won't know what hit them because nothing hits them, like nothing hits us. It's actually life will continue to try to get you to live. And if you don't want it, it's okay. You get to stay in that which is called a hellhole of self-loathing, gut-wrenched, torn apart, and a child that will never see the light of day, and that's none of my business. But yeah, you better bet I can still be aware that there's a child inside that person, and they're all angels. So I leave it alone. They're not monsters. You don't dehumanize people just because they have bad manners. They can think that you have bad manners too, because I deserve to be saluted like this human being. I don't have bad manners. They were just drunk, unhappy, they got rejected. But the next time they saw me, they said, at least he looked at me. Which is why it's petty and foolish. And really, I'm happy he feels satisfied, because at least now he can sleep at night because he got it off his chest. That's how it feels when you're empowered. You think, well, at least he got it off his chest. That's a good thing. That was probably eating away at his gut. Anyways, like, share, and subscribe if you know people who want to be their self. And we'll be back with more. Have a good one.